Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the 007 episode of the Real Time Retrospective podcast with a new feature sound effects. Now, of course, you're asking, well, what on 007 are you going to be covering? I'm covering the very first pilot episode of James Bond Jr. And I remember growing up, briefly, vaguely, excuse me, briefly I watched it, but vaguely I do remember watching it. And as I've been watching the cartoon on YouTube, I've been reminiscing, and I remember also, and I'll link this down below. I had most of the toys that came with it. I can't remember exactly the names of the characters that I had, but I remember which ones that I did have. So I'm going to link down below the checklist, and you tell me in the comments below if you had any of these yourselves. I can't be the only one. Plus, I also tied in. I guess at the time the cartoon was made, Marvel Comics had a tie-in comics. And I found a scan of the first issue, and I put that in my Facebook group. So if you want to check it out, by all means. Also, while you're on Facebook, check out the Ultimate James Bond group. It is a wonderful, wonderful Facebook group. I can't say nothing but good things. They're always keeping it interactive. They're always keeping the community interactive. It's very supportive. Supportive like my cat. So, yeah. Well, let's begin. And yes, sound effects abound. Bear with me. This is all I can do. I just don't want a copyright strike, and I hope none of these sound effects cause a copyright strike either, or a copyright notice. So to begin, ladies and gentlemen, the episode begins with a car chase between James Bond Jr. and a mystery individual in a black car. So of course, we see Bond first with his DB5. Aston Martin DB5, that is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, and you hear it roaring down that highway. That farmer's speed, the cows are speeds, of course, right? You can't help but hear it. But of course, like I said, there's a black car approaching Bond. He's speeding. It just wants to get at him. I mean, there's no stopping this vehicle. So, of course, there are. Uh, this is the cartoons. This is how it is. So the black car has weapons, and it's firing at Bond, but it's firing, of course, with lasers, not bullets, because you can't do that in a kitchen. You know how it goes. You know how it is. But of course, James Bond Jr. is very smart. He puts up a shield which deflects everything. He doesn't need to worry. He's got a shield protector in that Aston Martin. Pardon me. It sounded like this. Why, a pin drop, So he uses that to deflect, to avoid the gunfire, or the laser fire, shall we say. And then, oh my, we get our first stunt. Yes, 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 ladies and gentlemen. I'm not kidding. Oh, excuse me. See, this is how I'm adjusting. I'm learning how to use sound effects and keep things going. So, James managed to jump over a farmer's truck with his Aston Martin DB5. No problem, no sweat. All right. And of course, the black car follows him, wants to do the same thing, but no, it crashes into the farmer's hay pile in the back of the truck. I mean, duh. Sorry, ain't gonna get through. Pardon me. No, 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 no. But you think it's over. Bond's going by. He's James Bond Jr. is free, right? No, 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 no. Because there are motorcyclists that come out of nowhere and they chase Bond and, of course, shoot him. You know, just out of nowhere. All of a sudden, like a motorcycle on the highway, they come out of nowhere. You're like, where do these guys come from? Where are they coming from? You know, just like any other bad person. Where they come from, right? Well, of course, they attack his vehicle with, and believe it or not, they attack him with rockets. But of course, they miss. You can miss a target that big, you know? It is how it is. It's unfortunate. But then Bond decides to jump off a cliff with his vehicle, and the black car eventually catches up with him, and a mysterious individual appears. He looks like he really looks like a mummy in a trench coat with a flat top hat. And he proclaims saying goodbye, young Bond. But of course, Bond's, goodbye. Just, yeah. Oh, no, you won't. Oh, no. I swear.
Insane stunt bonus!
Yeah, that. You thought that was insane. Huh? You thought that stunt could be bold? Well, guess what? Bond's car turns into a plane, and this upsets our mysterious individual. Yeah, he's falling, but then Bond's car turns into a plane. He gets out of there. Home free. Of course, this pisses off our mysterious individual and his dog. I mean, he drops his hat. The dog just with the hat. So, yeah. And then what follows is, of course, the Tote Happen number of the James Bond Jr. theme. And it's a really good one. Can't play it here. Sorry. So go watch the episode, which is linked below, for that intro. It is a wonderful, wonderful intro. I can't say nothing bad about it. It's got the Bond. It's got everything you could want. Epic theme. You listen to it over and over again. You know when you hear it, you're in for a good time. So then we are shown what is called the Warfield Academy. This is basically the special school our hero James Bond Jr. is going to. So we're shown, and then we meet our cast of characters, of course. Now we've already met James Bond Jr., but of course these are people, as Bond would put it, that we could very much
Trust.
Exactly. Trust indeed. Majority we can trust, of course. So, here we are. So, we meet our cast of characters. But Bond, of course, before we meet our cast of characters, though, he comes in with his Aston Martin DB5. He makes a smooth landing in the parking lot. How else, even though it's James Bond Jr., of course, why not make a grand entrance, right? So after that, we meet our cast of characters. So, our cast of characters include the headmaster, Mr. Milbanks. Yes. He's quite a good headmaster. We'll give him that. Yes, indeed. He's not a bad person. So then we meet, forgive me, I am looking at my notes. We meet the gym teacher, Mitchell, who's a good friend of James Bond. James Bond himself, yes. He's James Bond's good friend, and he's James Bond Jr.'s good friend. And he's also the gym coach, of course. So you can't go wrong. IQ, who is Q's nephew. That's right. Yeah. You gotta love Q. Any cute. Yes, indeed. Then, of course, we meet Gordo Leiter, who's Felix Leiter's nephew, of course. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Yes. Thing is, though, yes. Thing is, though, his caricature is like, "Hey, dude, how's it going? Yeah, catch the wave." And I think I get where the creators of the show are going. Okay, so when Bond first met Felix in the movies, and I'm sure that's how they're basing it, not necessarily the books, but the movies. Yeah, you met Felix in the Bahamas. So the connection being that his nephew Gordo here was really into surfing and the beaches. And I get it. Most of the times when Felix meets Vaughn, especially so this series was in 91. So from the beginning to 89, at that point, um, Felix was always visiting Bond in like hot locale areas. So I guess they thought, well, the nephew of Felix would love the ocean and waves and stuff. Plus, it was the 90s. You know, being a cool dude was everything. I mean, Michelangelo of the Ninja Turtles was doing it, so it is what it is. Surfer culture was a big thing, but that's just my little rant on that character. But he's still a cool character. Now, he's not annoying at all. Uh, then we meet Tracy Milbanks, who is, believe it or not, he's Bond's secret love interest. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She plays a vital role in this show. Oh, yes. She and Bond, Will they, won't they? You know, that whole thing. We meet Phoebe Farragetti. Yeah, she's a sweetheart of an individual. I don't think she's related to M or Miss Moneypenny, but maybe that. I've got a feeling she's probably based. She's probably the niece of Moneypenny. Could be. I mean, she's this kind of nerdy girl who likes Bond as well, so finds him attractive. So I think she's related to Moneypenny, not necessarily M. And for all I know, the girl I mentioned before, Tracy Milbanks, and her headmaster father could very well be uh, related to M. I mean, Mitchell, who I mentioned earlier, does tell Bond in a scene like anyone who goes here is related, has someone who's famous, is related to someone. So, yeah. And then we meet the infamous Trevor Millsworthy, who is just an asshole. Absolute asshole. You're not going to applaud that asshole, are you? Yes! He's a pompous prick. So yeah, boo him, please. He's annoying. He's an asshole. But anytime he gets comeuppance in the show, it's a good thing. And then after that, we meet our villains. Now, hold your applause, but bring on the booze. We have basically Scumlord, who is the mummy looking dude. Yeah, that's our villain, at least in this episode. But we also have Jaws. Well, do you want to applaud or do you want to boo? I'm curious to know. What do you guys think? Okay. He is the villain of the show, so you have a right to boo. But he's a well-loved character. However, one observant look for me. Um, I don't know why he's able to talk because Jaws he has his bottom. Okay, he has his bottom jaw here. It's restructured, and that's the whole thing. And his all his teeth are like shark teeth. And he can talk like this and go, "Hey, I'll do what you want, Scum Lord." And his voice sounds familiar. I didn't quite get around to finding out who the voice actor was, but in due time I will. But I mean, Jaws was more menacing when he didn't talk. But it's a cartoon. I get it. Every villain has to talk. But just as the Bond aficionado in me, seeing Jaws talk a lot as opposed to just a little and be more menacing as Jaws, or being funny, it just doesn't sit well with me. It's you know, but it is what it is. That's my little gripe. But then let me explain the basic plot of the episode here. And excuse the sink in the back. It plugs up sometimes. Did it again. Anyways, the basic plot of this episode is that Bond, because of his tardiness, is confined to the Academy's grounds. But Scumlord and Jaws have other plans. They want Bond's car, the Aston Martin DB5, to steal and take out its top secret electromagnetic pulse generator. And by doing so, once stolen, they can bring down England and the world, and Scumlord will take over if all goes according to plan. Exactly. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? So, of course. So then, Bond and Tracy sneak out. They're already together, aren't they? Well, they sneak out to get an important package from Bond's uncle, apparently. But Millsworthy is spying on them. But Gordo is there to stop them, of course, in quick fashion. Yes! Gordo is there to save the day. He sets off the sprinklers that gets Mr. Millsworthy wet. So, yep. So, and then, of course, IQ, who, by the way, him and Bond are roommates. What other. That's a good pairing, isn't it? Yeah. So, IQ, of course, delivers the vehicle to Bond and Tracy, and they head off to the post office. But when they get to the post office, there's no package. No package. It's not at the post office. And this gives Jaws ample opportunity to get into the Aston Martin DB5. Jaws steals the car, and Tracy is also inside. Yeah, unfortunate. Our beautiful Tracy has been taken hostage along with the Aston Martin DB5. But luckily, Phoebe and Gordo, they pick up IQ and Bond and they help them because that's what's needed. Is you need good friends to help them. I mean, you gotta have friends, right? Exactly. Give them a round of applause for coming around. So, but then as this is going on, like they're in Gordo's like surfer truck. So IQ gives Bond a homing signal device to locate the Aston Martin DB5, and it can also control the car itself. So yeah. So eventually, this leads to the Aston Martin. It's going to be put into a mysterious. It's put into a mysterious truck, and they're at a abandoned airfield. And IQ gives Bond his watch, which has some helpful modifications in it, such as rockets, little mini rockets, and a buzzsaw. Yeah, pretty cool. Ooh, I know it's not that exciting, but still. Anyway, yeah, we're at the abandoned airbase, where a scum cargo plane is ready to take the Aston Martin DB5 away. But Bond uses a liquid to blow up the trunk's engine, which was used earlier in the episode. So the engine blows. They can't get it on the plane at the moment, so it's just, yeah. But of course, this leads to Bond being able to sneak in. He saves Tracy, but they're confronted by Jaws. Oh, exactly. It's unfortunate. They're caught by Jaws. Oh, so Jaws apprehends Bond and Tracy and puts them in the trunk of the Aston Martin. He tells them to have a nice flight to Scum headquarters. Come on, let's give it a little laugh, just a little. Can I? Can you give it? You gotta admit, it's a little funny. It's coming from Jaws, so just a little laugh. It doesn't hurt. So Jaws puts the vehicle in the Scum cargo plane by himself. He hot wires it again, and the plane takes off. So of course, in the plane, uh, Scum Lord is petting his dog Scumball, and Jaws is sitting across from him in the cockpit. And the plane is flying itself, so it's likely on autopilot. Uh, but then, of course, well, that's in the cockpit, excuse me. And then Bond uses his laser beam from his watch to get him and Tracy out of the trunk of the Aston Martin DB5. And of course, Bond hotwires the car, but the flight conversion button isn't working. And then Scumlord asks Jaws to investigate the noise in the back of the plane. So, let's give Bond a round of applause for at least doing what he could, right? Bond did what he could. You got to give him credit there. So then, Scumlord, he's controlling the plane, and Bond uses the Aston Martin with that controller, the device that IQ gave him, to attack Jaws, of course. Right? I mean, yes. Got to give it to Bond, thinking quick. Bond then uses the homing signal device IQ gave him to also take control of his car remotely again, and this causes the Scum cargo plane to do a nosedive. It is starting to do a nosedive, ladies and gentlemen. Oh! Yeah. Here we go. So, but Bond with a parachute and Tracy around him, he jumps out of the cargo plane and they land safely. Very safely. Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. They land indeed. They are fine. They are good. But as the cargo plane crashes, and we assume that Scumlord and his poor Scumdog perished in it, Jaws jumps out beforehand, but he lands in a barn. And this is a nod to his mishaps in The Spy Who Loved Me, actually, when you think about it. See? Yes. So this is a nod, and that was a great nod. I love that. Yeah, so that's the last we see of Scumlord for now, possibly. And that's the last we see of Jaws for now, possibly. There will be more villains coming. There's in this series, actually, there are returning villains that you will know from Bond's history, but there's also villains made specifically for this series. And they're part of a group called Scum, and I can't remember what Scum stands for, but we'll figure this out as it goes along, okay? We will. When I get around to doing this again, because I always flip-flop between ideas. Like my brain's a busy brain, and you know that. So, uh, Bond gets back in time to his dorm room in time to make Trevor Millsworthy look like a fool, of course. And isn't that wonderful, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Especially when you're making Mr. Millsworthy look like an idiot. You got to make him look like an idiot no matter what. And the car was destroyed, but it was also revealed it's also revealed in the episode there was no pulse generator inside. There was no special pulse generator to take over the world. Yeah, there really wasn't. Really. Uh huh. There just wasn't one. But guess what? The pieces get recovered. Bond gets a new red car. He gets a brand new, fancy smashy looking red car, ladies and gentlemen. Yes! Yes, 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 yes. And of course, to end it all off, IQ, him and his friends, they all, Bond and Junior and all his friends, they get into the vehicle. And of course, IQ is just like, ooh, look at all these beautiful gadgets. I want to test them out. And Bond Jr. stops and says, oh, no, you don't. No, 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 no. Yeah. There's some pretty good humor in this show. But that's how our show ends. And then before you know it, we will get on to our next episode, of course. So, ladies and gentlemen, what did you think of that first episode of James Bond Jr.? Not bad. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's not a bad episode. It's not a bad pilot, and it's not a bad series. Now, of course, the question is, where does James Bond Jr. fit in? Well, there was a book that was released that actually explained how this fits into the continuity, like the Lost James Bond Adventures, which is a book I have to find again. I think if I find it, I'll link it below. I'll link an Amazon link to it, and you guys can check that out for yourself. And yeah, definitely a book I should get in my collection. Pardon me, I had a shiver. It's cold here in Saskatchewan, if you didn't know. So anyway, yeah, that is that for today. Pretty short today. But nonetheless, I loved what I saw, and I hope you enjoyed my sound effects. It's going to get better. I'm going to get better timing, better everything. But you can't get good as long as you're training and you're learning. Next week, next Friday, actually, I am thinking, I'm debating between watching and reviewing this podcast episode that Quentin Tarantino had done, and he talks about a lot of interesting stuff. There will be sound effects for this one, of course. But I'm also debating whether I should react to some music videos I've come across or live performances. Now, I know that with YouTube Music, you can't be can't be monetized for it, but you are allowed to listen to copyrighted music without fear of copyright strikes. So I'm debating between the two. So give me, by the weekend I'll have made up my mind, and then by Monday I'm going to start making my notes. So that's what episode 8 will be. It'll either be the Quentin Tarantino podcast, or it's going to be a reaction to a couple of live performances of music videos that I saw, me giving my opinions and thoughts. It's up in the air. I may just do a test run video just to see if I get hit with anything, but this is the risk you take as a YouTube content creator, you know. But I mean, once I'm in good standings, as they say, and I'm answering to some advertisers and stuff and sponsors, and I'm pretty sure I can start to do things without having to live in fear of almost thinking, is my post gonna make it or not? And this post is even gonna have me on pins and needles because it might be edited because of some of these sound effects. And by the way, if you don't have the money for a soundboard, honestly, go to 101soundboard.com. This is where I got all my sound effects from. So I'm going to link that link below. You just download the sound effects as MP3. They'll be in your download file folder, or maybe you have a fancy smashy way of maybe a digital uh, soundboard that you can put these in. Yeah, technology is amazing. So, yeah, but 101 Soundboard is where I got most of my sound effects from right now because I can't afford a soundboard. So, definitely check it out. Definitely hope you enjoyed this episode. Check out the episode that I mentioned. Check out the Facebook groups that I mentioned, all down below. If I can find it, get that James Bond book on Amazon, and you're supporting an independent writer as well. So, yeah. Oh, and I will also link below all a checklist of all the toys that were released um, with this. And every time I review one of these episodes in my Facebook group, I will present a scan of one of the James Bond Jr. Comic books. There weren't too many. There were less comic books than there were episodes. I think there's almost 60 episodes of James Bond Jr., but we're going to get through those over time. We're going to treat this like fine wine. Like every time it comes up, it's like, oh, James Bond Jr., all right, let's go, let's go. Yeah. So we will deal with that when we cross that road. For now, I bid you guys adieu. Take care. Comment below what you think of the sound effects. Comment below what you think about James Bond Jr. Comment below on anything within reason. So, guys, take care, and I'll see you next time.